You're about to hear something that will make you uncomfortable. Good. That discomfort is your instinct telling you to stop watching, to go back to the warm illusion of fairness and mutual respect, to believe that kindness is strength and that honesty is always rewarded. Most people will stop here. They should, because what comes next doesn't just change how you see power, it changes how you see yourself. And once that mirror is held up, you can't look away. You can't pretend you didn't see the weakness staring back. I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to dissect you. This is not a self-help video. This is a psychological autopsy performed while you're still alive. And by the end, you will know exactly what level of intelligence you operate at. Not the level you want to believe you're at, the level you actually occupy. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something most people spend their entire lives running from: that the world is not moved by the righteous. It is moved by those who understand the mechanics of submission and control. Those who see the chessboard while others see only their next move. He didn't write The Prince to make you feel good. He wrote it to show you the truth about how power actually works. And the truth is this: intelligence is not about how much you know. It is about how much you can do without needing permission, validation, or approval. There are 7 levels, 7 stages of evolution from servant to sovereign, and the vast majority of humanity never makes it past level 2. You probably haven't either. Let's find out. You react. Someone insults you. You defend yourself. Someone disrespects you. You escalate. Someone praises you. You glow. Someone withdraws attention. You chase. You are a puppet, and your strings are visible to anyone who knows where to look. At this level, you believe your responses are choices. They are not. They are reflexes, programmed into you by a lifetime of needing to be liked, to be accepted, to be seen as good. You explain yourself to people who never asked. You justify your decisions to people who have no authority over you. You offer your reasoning as if it will convince them, as if their approval matters. It doesn't. And every time you react, you lose. Because reaction is the language of the powerless. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves." You are neither. You are prey pretending to be a participant. The reflex slave does not think. He feels. And then he moves. And the world uses that predictability to control him with surgical precision. If you recognize yourself in that description, you have 2 choices. Close this video and return to your comfortable delusion, or continue and accept what you're about to become. This is where most people get stuck. You have learned to control your immediate reactions. You don't scream when insulted. You don't cry when criticized. You have mastered the appearance of composure, but underneath you are still a beggar. You fish for validation in every conversation. You perform competence hoping someone will notice. You share your wins not because you're proud, but because you need witnesses. You need confirmation that you matter. You ask questions you already know the answer to just to hear someone agree with you. You say, "Does that make sense?" When you explain something, not because you're unclear, but because you need reassurance that you're being understood, that you're being valued, you apologize for things that don't require apology. Sorry for the long message. Sorry to bother you. Sorry for asking. Every sorry is a small surrender. Every question mark at the end of a statement is a request for permission to exist. And here's what you don't realize. The people you're performing for can smell it. They can sense the desperation underneath your professionalism. And it makes them see you as weak, not because you lack skill, but because you lack sovereignty. At level 2, you are competent but not respected, useful but not valued, present but not powerful. You give away your attention for free. You respond immediately to every message as if speed equals importance. It doesn't. Speed equals availability, and availability equals low status. Kings do not answer quickly. They answer when it serves them. You trade time for approval. You attend meetings that waste your energy. You accept calls that drain your focus. You say yes when you mean no because you're afraid of what no will cost you. It will cost you nothing. Saying yes costs you everything. Here's the law you're breaking. Never seek approval. Create scarcity. When you need validation, you give others the power to withhold it. When you create scarcity, they compete for access to you. Stop performing, stop explaining, stop softening your presence to make others comfortable. Your comfort is not the goal. Your sovereignty is. This is the first level of true intelligence. You have stopped reacting. You have stopped seeking. Now you build. At level 3, you understand that power is not taken in moments of confrontation. It is accumulated in silence, in patterns, in systems that run without you. You no longer defend yourself when accused. You let the accusation hang in the air and watch how the accuser struggles with the silence. You've learned that defense implies guilt. Silence implies indifference. And indifference is the ultimate dominance. Someone insults you. You pause. You look at them the way a surgeon looks at an X-ray. Curious, detached, unaffected. Then you move on. Not because you're above it, but because responding would give them what they want. Evidence that they touched you. You've learned the first law of psychological warfare. He who needs the interaction least controls it. You no longer explain your decisions. You announce them, not with arrogance, with finality. I won't be attending. Not, I can't make it, I have something else. Just the fact. Clean, complete. When people ask why, you smile slightly and say nothing. Or you say, it doesn't work for me. No elaboration, no negotiation. You've realized that every justification is a leak. Every explanation is an invitation for someone to talk you out of your choice. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote, everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. At level 3, you control what people see. You reveal only what serves you. Not because you're deceptive, but because transparency is a luxury only the powerless can afford. You also understand posture now. Not physical posture, though that matters. Psychological posture. You no longer fill silence with noise. You no longer rush to agree. You no longer mirror the energy of the room to fit in. You set the temperature. Others adjust. When someone speaks to you with urgency, you respond with calm. When they raise their voice, you lower yours. When they demand immediacy, you create delay. Not to punish them, to train them, to teach them that your attention is not a reflex, it is a gift, and gifts are given on your terms. This is where most people fail. They reach level 3 and mistake it for mastery. They become cold, calculating, withdrawn. They think power is isolation. It's not. Isolation is just fear dressed in philosophy. Level 3 is necessary, but it is not sufficient. Because the silent architect builds alone, and empires are not built alone. At level 4, you learn to use people without being used. This is not manipulation. Manipulation is clumsy. Manipulation requires deception. What you do at level 4 is transparent transaction. You identify what someone wants, you assess what you want, you make the exchange explicit, and you deliver exactly what you promised. Nothing more, nothing less. You do not make friends, you make alliances, you do not trust, you verify. You do not hope people will come through for you. You create conditions where it is in their interest to come through for you. Machiavelli wrote, men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. At level 4, you stop being the one deceived. You stop believing that loyalty is real. Loyalty is circumstantial. People are loyal when it costs them nothing and benefits them something. You design your relationships accordingly. You do not give without receiving. You do not invest without return. You do not offer your time, your resources, your energy to anyone who has not demonstrated value. This makes you ruthless in the eyes of the weak. In the eyes of the strong, it makes you reliable. Because at level 4, your word means something. When you commit, you deliver. And when you don't commit, you don't pretend. You've learned the law. Competence without loyalty is more valuable than loyalty without competence. You stop hiring people because you like them. You hire them because they produce. You stop keeping people around because of history. You keep them because of output. You stop forgiving weakness out of kindness. You cut it out like a surgeon removing dead tissue. Not with anger, with precision. And here's what happens. People start to respect you, not because you're warm, but because you're consistent. You've become predictable in your standards and unpredictable in your mercy. They know what you expect. They don't know if you'll tolerate failure. That uncertainty keeps them sharp. At level 4, you've learned that fear and respect are not opposites. They are partners. The ruler who is only loved is overthrown the moment love fades. The ruler who is only feared is overthrown the moment strength fades. The ruler who is both is untouchable. You're not there yet, but you're close. This is the point of no return. At level 5, you stop appearing in your own victories. You learn to move power without touching it, to shape outcomes without being seen, to win wars without entering the battlefield. You've mastered the most dangerous skill in human interaction, attribution control. When something goes well, others take credit. You let them. When something goes wrong, you were never involved. Not because you're cowardly, because you understand that visibility is vulnerability. The moment you are seen as the source of power, you become the target. Machiavelli knew this. He advised princes to use intermediaries, to let others deliver bad news, to let others enforce unpopular decisions, to remain distant enough to be revered and close enough to be feared. At level 5, you do the same. You don't fire people. Your systems fire them. You don't reject proposals. Your criteria reject them. You don't punish disloyalty. Consequences punish it. You've built a machine, and the machine runs without your fingerprints. People think you're uninvolved, detached, hands off. They're wrong. You're everywhere. You just can't be seen. You've learned to plant ideas in others and let them believe the ideas were theirs. You've learned to create problems that only you can solve, then solve them quietly. You've learned that the appearance of effortlessness is more powerful than the display of effort. At level 5, you stop working hard and start working invisibly. You delegate execution. You reserve judgment. You never let anyone see you struggle. You never let anyone see you doubt. You never let anyone see you afraid. Not because you don't struggle, doubt, or fear, but because the moment they see it, they stop believing in your inevitability. And belief in your inevitability is the only thing keeping them obedient. This is where most leaders fail. They think transparency builds trust. It doesn't. It builds familiarity, and familiarity breeds contempt. You've learned the final law of level 5. Mystery is power. You answer fewer questions. You reveal fewer thoughts. You share fewer plans. You become a closed system, and people obsess over what they cannot access. At level 6, you don't just control behavior, you control perception. You've realized that the most powerful prison is the one people build in their own minds. You don't need to force compliance. You need to make them believe compliance is freedom. You don't need to demand loyalty. You need to make them believe betrayal is self-destruction. You've stopped managing people. You've started managing narratives. At this level, you understand that reality is not objective. It is interpreted, and whoever controls the interpretation controls the reality. You frame your decisions not as commands but as inevitabilities. This is where we're going. Not "I've decided," not "I think we should," just the statement of fact, as if the future has already happened and they're simply catching up. You've learned that confidence is not loud. Confidence is assumed. You don't argue with people who disagree. You let them disagree. You let them voice their objections. You nod, you listen, and then you proceed exactly as you plan. Not because you're stubborn, because you've already run the scenarios. You've already weighed the variables. Their objection was predictable, and it was irrelevant. At level 6, you become a sculptor of identity. You don't tell people what to do. You tell them who they are. You're the kind of person who finishes what they start. You're not someone who settles. You're better than this. And they perform to match the identity you've assigned them. This is not manipulation. This is leadership. Because you're not lying. You're seeing the potential they've buried under fear and convenience, and you're holding them to it. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." At level 6, you've transcended both. You are neither feared nor loved. You are inevitable. People follow you not because they're afraid of punishment or hungry for reward. They follow you because the alternative, not following you, feels like choosing irrelevance. You've made yourself the center of gravity, and everything orbits you now. There is no instruction here, because at level 7, you've stopped needing instruction. You are no longer playing the game. You've become the game itself. You do not react. You do not perform. You do not calculate. You do not manipulate. You simply are. And your existence reshapes the environment. At level 7, power is not something you wield. It is something you embody. You've reached the state Machiavelli described but never named, the ruler who is beyond rulership. You don't need allies. They need you. You don't need opportunities. You create them. You don't need validation. You define what is valid. At this level, you've stopped caring what people think. Not because you're arrogant, because their thoughts are irrelevant to your direction. You've internalized the only truth that matters. You are the only authority over your life. Not your parents, not your partner, not your peers, not society, you. And when you move, the world rearranges itself around you. Not because you force it, because resistance is exhausting and you've made alignment easy. At level 7, you've mastered the final law. The sovereign needs nothing. And because you need nothing, everything comes to you. So where are you? Be honest. Are you still explaining yourself to people who didn't ask? Are you still apologizing for taking up space? Are you still checking your phone, hoping someone noticed you? Then you're at level 1 or 2. And that's fine. Most people live and die there. They never realize they were in a cage. They mistake the bars for support beams. But you're here. You've watched this far, which means you've felt it. That pull, that quiet rage, that sense that you've been playing a game rigged against you. You have. And now you have a choice. You can close this video, go back to comfort, pretend you didn't see what you saw, or you can accept the transformation. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, now. Because there is no readiness. There is only decision. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince for the masses. He wrote it for the few who were willing to see power as it is, not as they wish it to be. This video is the same. It's not for everyone. If you're still here, you know why. You've seen the levels. You know where you are. Now climb, and when you reach the top, don't look back. There's nothing down there worth saving.